Well, good morning. On Good Morning Kenya, we are looking at the power of a woman that is multi-pronged as we focus on matters of women at the forefront. I'm Regina Manyara, and today we are going to be shining a spotlight on a woman whose story is equal parts of heart, hustle, and healing. She's a mother, a family nurse practitioner, and a pillar in both her home and her community. I'm talking about Alice Wangoi Monywe. Welcome very much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right. So now let's go back to the beginning. We'd want to know what inspired you to be a nurse, and not just a nurse, but a family nurse practitioner. If there's a difference, unpack it.
Okay, so it's a very long story. So let's go back to the beginning. I was born in Kenya, and growing up, I was born in Shiga location, Othaya. Growing up, I thought I was going to be a school teacher. My dad was a school teacher, so I thought I was going to be a school teacher. I went to secondary school in Chigagawas, high school. We used to do Form 5 and 6 at the time, so I went to Griabugaos. After that, I worked a little bit Mutihani Examinations Council, Mutihani House, in the accounting department. But I was not good in math, so I knew there was no progress there. So one day, I was just doing my work at the Examinations Council, and I had this idea, maybe I should go to America, just out of the blues. And I started looking for schools.
Wow.
Yeah.
A Eureka moment. From accounts to helping people.
Yes.
So how long have you been practicing nursing?
Since 1992.
That's roughly over a decade, 3 decades actually.
Yes.
And how has been the experience thus far?
It's been wonderful. So, like I said before, I did not know I was going to be a nurse. So when I went to the US, I started working in a departmental store, and I thought I was going to do something in commerce, like business, maybe something. It never turned out like that. So I started working at the department store, and they did not pay much. So somebody suggested, if you work in the hospital, they can pay more.
So better pay.
Yeah.
Better pay. So in your 3 decades of practicing nursing, what would you say have been your key achievements?
Wow. I have been a patient myself. So that's number one. I became a nurse in 1992, like I said, and I practiced for a while in the medical surgical, like a general ward. And then I started thinking that maybe I should get a master's degree in nursing, and that's how I became a nurse practitioner, because nurse practitioners can prescribe, they can diagnose, they can do minor surgeries, and I kind of like that. I always feel like I need to improve on my game somehow. So I became a nurse practitioner in 2000, the year 2000. But when I graduated, I had this desire to work in mental health. I have no idea why, but I came to realize later that was part of my calling.
All right.
So 2001, I got a job in mental health, and I loved it as a nurse, psychiatric nurse. So I got to know all the medicines, all the diagnoses, and I became really, really good. I used to work in a state hospital. And with the state hospitals, they bring all the cases that nobody else can handle. Like the private hospitals cannot handle, so they bring it to the public hospital. The public hospital, nobody can be refused. So whoever they bring, you take them.
You have to take them.
Yes.
So then in your line of work, it's not just about medicine, it's about emotions, it's about listening and loss and hope, as you've mentioned. So what has been that key moment, that has stayed with you over the years?
So when I started having children, and I was also working as a nurse, sometimes, depending on what you do, working at night pays more. And there's a reason why they do that, because most people don't like to work at night. So, but when you have children and you come home during the day, you cannot sleep very well. So I ended up working like this because my kids were going to school, and I needed to be there. If the parent is called to school, I needed to be able to go. I don't have to ask my boss to go. And so after 15 years, because I did this from 2001 to 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, until my kids became teenagers, I gained a lot of weight in those, because I wasn't sleeping well, and I was stressed. So, but I did not like that because when I went to America, I used to be just tall and skinny, and I kind of liked my old me.
Yes, yes.
So I started trying to figure out how to go back to my former way, or at least get healthier, because I did not like the way
You
I
didn't
looked.
like the way you looked.
Yeah, so lo and behold, I decided at 2013, I decided now to use my nurse practitioner license. And prior to that, I had been trying to eat healthy, to, you know, lose this weight, because in America they tell you that the more weight you weigh, the more sicker you're going to become.
Yes.
Like weight contributes to diseases. So I was eating healthy, but I wasn't sleeping. And I did not know that not sleeping can actually cause weight gain.
Wow.
So when I was in between jobs trying to get my nurse practitioner license back on, because, you know, if you don't practice for so many years, you have to redo the exam again. You have to renew your license. So I was away from regular work for like 6 months. Funny enough, in those 6 months, I was cooking at home, exercising, relaxing. You know, I was studying, but I wasn't doing the hustle and bustle of going to work and working at night and picking up kids and all that. I lost the weight. I lost 49 pounds in 5.5 months.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Just being home and being a mom.
Yeah, just being a mom.
Wow. All right.
So with that, many people started asking me, because in America, people are really overweight, and when they see you have some kind of success in that area, they will come to you.
They have to know how
Did you do it?
All right.
Yeah. So now I had this idea. I started teaching people. I will bring them to my home and I'll tell them how I cook my food, how I eat it, and none of them was getting the success that I had. So I knew something was wrong, but it inspired me. I figured I should write the information of what I did in a book.
Wow.
So my book is called Do Like Grandma Did. Oh,
Wow.
Eat Like Your Grandma Did. And I was thinking about my grandma in Kenya. You know, back when I was a child, we were cooking at home, eating whole foods, and we never snacked in between meals. So that's what I wrote there. And also sleeping, you know, because those...
Sleeping.
Yeah.
But then how practical is it, especially for those who work a 9-to-5 job? You get into traffic, maybe you spend on average 1.5 hours in traffic.
Yeah.
By the time you're getting home, you're dealing with the kids. By the time you're settling down in the evening, to sleep, it's around either minutes to midnight or shortly after midnight. And the cycle continues for the next 5 days.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not sleeping, you have to prioritize sleep. Not sleeping will cause so many problems in your life.
Wow.
Yeah, I usually tell people sleep is medicine.
Prioritize sleep.
Yeah.
I don't think my boss wants to hear that, but hey, it's good advice. Prioritize sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a natural thing. You don't have to pay for that. You just have to make the time. So now, when I started teaching, now I got my little book. The book was out in 2016. I started telling people, if you do this within 6 to 10 months, you should lose all the weight. Nobody was getting any success with it. So I started figuring out something is wrong with this picture. And I started saying to myself, maybe I need to write another book and tell them how important this is. But when I started writing my second book, I did not know what to tell them. I was like, I've told you everything about food.
Yeah.
What else can I possibly say? But I hadn't realized that actually my issue was because of stress, chronic stress, and not sleeping. That's what was making me gain weight.
So mental wellness.
Yes, mental wellness.
All right.
So now I started writing my second book. And my second book, I don't have it today with me, but the title is Think and Grow Healthier. So
Well,
mental
think
wellness.
and grow healthier.
Yes.
Mental wellness.
Absolutely. So when I was writing down, out of the bruise, I had a crisis. I witnessed some kind of trauma at work, but many other things happened with that trauma that I started losing sleep. We go back to sleep again.
All right.
But now, this time is different, because I was trying to figure out, the trauma that I witnessed was like crazy. It was like a horror movie.
What happened?
And
Maybe
it did not happen to me.
it happened to
It
another
happened to
person.
somebody else, to
Yeah.
one of my patients actually at work.
So what happened?
So I'm not allowed to say what
Yeah,
happened.
you do not know who. Loss of life?
Yeah, but they did not lose life, but they injured themselves in a really bad way,
Wow.
that they became disabled. So I was the first medical provider to get there. And the thing that shocked me was that this person had done a lot of damage to themselves, and they were not in pain. So that
They were numb to the pain.
To the pain, yeah. So I was trying to figure out, this is not
Medically
normal.
or psychologically numb?
I don't know whether it was psychological, but the person was very calm, just sitting just like that.
And they hurt.
Badly.
Wow.
So that shocked me. Why are they in pain? And then I asked them, because I was the first one to respond there. Do what you did. And the person said, I don't know. There's no way.
There has to be a trigger.
So, yeah.
Yes, mental wellness. Yes.
Yeah. So now I'm writing a book that says think and grow healthier, and the person has done a lot of damage here to themselves, and they don't know why they did it. I knew that was not normal. So I kind of started thinking, this is not mental illness. This is something else. But whatever this is, I cannot figure it out. So, but then I went home and nobody talked to me about this. Nobody asked me, how you doing? You know, even my co-workers, I guess they never thought that I had been traumatized. So they never thought to ask me.
There was no debrief.
And I never thought to seek help. Because
yeah.
I did not know.
You're supposed to be trained to handle such cases.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm at home. I cannot talk to anyone. My family members, I cannot tell them what happened at work. And I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm not able to sleep. Within 6 weeks, I had figured out what was going on with that. But now I'm in trouble. Because once I figured it out, I was like, oh my goodness. We are not treating mental illness properly. Now it was my turn. I became mentally ill too.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I figured it out, because I did not know how I was going to explain what I had figured out, how am I going to explain this to people? What am I going to say? Who's going to believe what I'm thinking? And now I completely lost sleep. And I went for 3 whole days without sleep.
That's 72 hours.
72 hours, yeah.
Wow.
And if anybody knows anything about sleep, if you go for 72 hours without sleep, you're looking at major problems here. So I developed what we call sleep-deprived psychosis.
Started seeing things.
I started hallucinating.
Hallucinations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I started hearing voices. I started hallucinating. I'm walking in the streets at night, and my kids got concerned. So they started calling family members. They called my pastor. They called the police.
Yeah, something must have.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
My mom is not behaving right. So the police came and they said, well, she's not doing anything wrong, because I wasn't hurting anyone. Yes, I'm not sleeping. I'm talking too much. And I'm walking in the streets at night. But I'm not hurting anyone, and I'm not walking in the middle of the street. I'm walking on the sideway. Yeah, sidewalk. But they said, if you really want us to do a mental health evaluation, you have to commit her. So I got committed to a mental health hospital. And now I'm a nurse practitioner. I'm an author at this point.
And you're committed.
And I'm committed to a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah, that must have taken a toll on you, yes?
Yeah, so that was very traumatic. But when I got to the hospital, 5 of the patients there were my patients, and they knew me.
Wow. How did you handle that? I mean, you're the one who's giving us advice, and
I know.
Now we find ourselves here. We are all seeking help.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Well, for me, it was traumatic.
Yeah.
But one of my patients was very happy. And she came and sat close to me. She said, I'm so glad you're here. I was like, why are you glad?
A familiar face.
I know, a familiar face. And when she came over, the other 5 came. They want to know why I'm here. So we started talking, and now we are talking like peers. It was crazy.
Wow.
But I stayed in the hospital for 9 days. And within 2 days, I started sleeping. And once I started sleeping, I was back to normal. I came out of the hospital with another book, a third book. The third book is called Bipolar, On the Throes of the Wild Kingdom, because I felt like I was going through a wild kingdom.
True.
So I come out now, and all I had to do was type the book, the third book. But now I have personal experience with mental illness. I already knew we were doing something wrong, and now I'm ready to teach. So that's how my ministry kind of got launched.
From a personal experience. You
Yes.
started off with a third party, first responded, and now you became
The patient.
the patient.
Yeah.
Now you have a 360 view on why we need to speak mental wellness.
Yes.
Now this brings me back to the fact that you have a podcast that is, it's called Total, let me get that right. Total, what is it?
Health Academy.
Total Health Academy. Yes,
Yes.
the Total Health Academy.
Yes.
It's a podcast focused on mental wellness.
Yes.
Other than it inspiring for you to just talk to people,
Yes.
have you seen it meet your core objective for you to start that podcast?
Yes, it has. For me, it's very fulfilling because I don't like to see people sick, especially with mental illness. And the people that come to me with questions and they listen to what I did and what can help them, they have actually been helped.
So it has worked.
It has worked.
It has worked.
Yeah.
The problem and one of the challenges in dealing with mental wellness is that the scars, or rather the wounds, are unseen.
Yes. It's mental.
Yes, they are unseen. So
Yeah.
actually even seeking help is a challenge.
Yeah.
What would you advise someone who's struggling with that? You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I tell people there's, what do they call it? Stigma.
Yes.
The stigma is what prevents people from seeking help, number one. They don't want anybody to know that they have mental illness. So what my experience taught me, that mental illness can happen to anybody. Listen, I was a nurse. I had worked as a psychiatric nurse for so many years. I was a nurse practitioner at this point, and I was an author.
Yeah.
And this still happened to me. So there is no stigma. I said, I'm opening this kind of worms. Anybody who wants to talk about mental illness, I'm happy to talk with them. And I'm happy to tell them what I did and what, you know, if they need any advice on what can help them, I can actually do that.
All right.
So no more stigma on mental illness. Let's talk about it. Let's not be shy. So personally, I love telling my story.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've opened Pandora's box when you talk about stigma.
Yeah.
Looking at the status report of mental wellness in this country,
Yeah.
we had a whole task force set up in Kenya to just talk about matters of mental health. It is a problem and a growing concern, especially among the youth and middle-aged persons.
Yeah.
From where you sit, having the experience that you have, what advice would you give? You know, what are the telltale signs first? And how would you advise a person who already finds themselves, they're not on clinical psychosis yet, but they feel they are not okay?
Yeah.
How do they go about
So
what do they look for first?
Okay, so look for the signs and symptoms. And if you notice that something is not working out, that you don't feel okay, say you're anxious, you're losing sleep like I was, I would not have thought to seek mental health help, you know, going through what I was going. But at the back of my mind, I actually knew what the problem was. The only thing I did not know was the language. I did not have a language. But I would advise people to seek help. Find a counselor, someone to talk with. Now, this is not going to cure mental illness, but it will have an outlet. Maybe you don't want to tell the whole world, but you can tell somebody who is trusted, who can keep your personal business private. And talking about it is actually helpful. Yeah, it brings whatever is hidden to the surface. And you can also get a few pointers, something you can do. But my situation was not the doctor diagnosed me with bipolar. And so my second book is called, actually, my third book is called Bipolar, on the Throes of the Wild Kingdom. And with that book, my story runs through. Now, because my story was pretty bad, I was having panic attacks, I'm hallucinating, I'm hearing voices, and I'm not sleeping. So that, when you're in a situation like that, that is bad mental illness.
Yes.
And so I give examples in that, and I kind of summarize the whole DSM-5. The DSM-5 is what psychiatric doctors use to diagnose and treat your mental illness.
A sneak peek into that? Yeah, I mean,
a sneak peek.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I summarized it.
Yeah.
And I'm giving examples with what I was going through.
Okay.
So say anxiety.
Yes.
Now in the US, I don't know about here, but in the US they have done a survey with the Gen Z.
Yeah.
The Gen Z themselves, they are reporting that there is persistent anxiety, like 44% of them. That's almost half, you know, half the generation.
Yeah.
They are experiencing persistent anxiety.
Anxiety.
And anxiety has something to do with your calling in life. It's not a fear of a specific thing per se. It's just a deep sense that something is wrong and you want it to be right. So, but chronic anxiety leads to depression. So 33% of them are reporting persistent depression. And those are like those are like common codes as far as mental illness is concerned.
Yes.
So you don't want to have bipolar. You don't want to have schizophrenia. You don't want to have addictive disorders, because those are big problems
Challenges
to have.
in
Yeah.
mental health, yeah.
But my situation, I don't know about you, but I usually tell people, because I know mental illness, see, it's not the brain that's not working right. It's the mind. And the mind kind of controls the brain. But there's confusion. Most people use the mind and the brain interchangeably. And
Yes.
those two are different.
They are very different,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, not a majority of people understand that there's a mind and there's a brain.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my situation was purely spiritual. There was a spiritual problem going on, and I was able to overcome it. They told me, I stayed home. Now at this point, I'm working as a nurse practitioner.
Yes.
So, and this happened on June 1st, to be specific, 2017. I stayed home until August 1st, because first of all, when I got out of the hospital, I needed to know how I got there. So I had to go after the root of the problem. But I knew the problem was spiritual, and I handled it spiritually.
Oh, wow.
So, two months later, I'm back to normal. I went back to work. I've never had that problem again.
All right.
So, yeah.
So we need to separate the brain from the mind and understand exactly what it is that we're going through.
Yes.
So how did this all reflect, especially on your family setup? You're a mom,
Yeah.
and the kids actually called and sought help when they saw mom was not acting the way they used to have their mom act.
Yeah.
So how did it settle with them?
So my kids were traumatized. That's what they tell me. But I talked to them later, and I told them this is nothing to be afraid of. Your mom is going to be back to normal. And now, you know, when they see me actually teaching people about health and wellness, they're like, okay, something good came out of it.
Something good came
Yeah.
out of your children witnessed what you were going through.
Yes.
What impact did it have on them? if you may?
So my kids say they were traumatized, but I had to talk to them, and I had to tell them exactly what was going on with me. Because when I was going through this, I wasn't confused. I knew what was going on, and I knew the issue was spiritual. What I could not do, all the skills, I had learned about coping skills as a nurse, none of them was working. And that's because the issue was not actually mental health. It was more than mental health. There was a spiritual aspect to it.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. So then going forward, what plans do you have, to, build capacity to those who watch your podcast, who read your books, and who have met you maybe probably for the first time through this particular channel?
Yes. So I have written about 14 books so far since then. Because what happened after my experience, I was able to look at things critically. Now, when I went to the hospital, the doctor diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. And I knew somehow the doctor was wrong. I also used spiritual coping skills like prayer, dealing with the issue through prayer, and asking God to show me what had gone wrong here. What did I do wrong? Mm-hmm. How can I fix this? And through to God's grace, I was healed. Within 2 months, I was back to work, and the issue has never come back. Now, this kind of helped me, because I knew when I went for my second appointment, my diagnosis, by the way, was changed 3 times in 2 months. So after I got discharged from the hospital with a bipolar disorder on my diagnosis, and I knew it was wrong, and I knew what to do, by the time I went for my follow-up appointment, they changed it again. They say, oh, that could not have been bipolar. You recovered too quickly. So, but they knew, at this point, they knew that I had witnessed trauma. So they said it was PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. 2 months later, they said it couldn't have been post-traumatic stress disorder. This was an acute stress disorder. I said, I could have told you that. It's only that I did not have the language.
Right.
There was something that was actually bothering me. But I recovered, and that was that.
Okay.
So I started teaching. That's how my teaching ministry was launched, to look at things critically.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you're given an opportunity to tailor make, you know, a way to actually teach this in this particular spectrum, or rather the Kenyan scope,
Yes.
would you have done it differently, or what areas would you focus on?
I don't think I would have done it differently. And actually my experience kind of showed me. Now when I look at things critically, let's say I have somebody who comes to me with high blood pressure. I look at research, the medical science. What do they say? What are they saying is the cause of this problem? And I also look at the medication that we give. And I can tell you that high blood pressure is also a mental health disorder. High blood tension. So hyper is something that's high. Some kind of stress.
Yeah.
I'm looking, where is the tension? The tension is actually in the mind. And the mind affects the brain, and then the brain affects the body. So I can teach people how to relax the mind and relax.
Okay. So parting shot as we bring this to
Parting shot that I have written, and I summarize for sick into 4 parts. Acute illness, like your common colds, no big deal. Then there's the lifestyle diseases, like I used to have from not sleeping, gaining weight from not sleeping. And then there's the diseases from within, which is entertaining negative thoughts, like fear, anger, unforgiveness, those kind of things. They cause diseases, you know, resentment, bitterness, envy, the whole gamut. And then there's the spiritual disease. I call those diseases from the other side. And you just had my testimony with bipolar. That was a disease from the other side. It was spiritual.
All right.
Yes. One more thing.
Yes.
I have the game changer. This is about fasting. Fasting is the game changer. Fasting has spiritual benefits and also physical benefits. And then what prevents people from healing? So I have that also documented here.
All right.
Yes.
So you chose to not only speak, but also put what you have learned in books.
Yes.
From a first
Experience.
respondent to now being a patient and now to being a helper.
Yes.
Thank you very much for wearing all those hats to just change the narrative when it comes to matters health, and most precisely when it comes to matters of mental wellness. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
now
you.
this brings us to a close on Women on the Forefront. We have been speaking to none other than Alice Wangoi Munyo, who has lived the talk, walked the talk, so to speak, from a family nurse practitioner to being a patient herself. And right now, she's on a journey to build capacity within communities when it comes to matters of health, as well as mental wellness. I'm Regina Manyara. You're watching KBC Channel 1.